So this is going to be continuing my Sunday movie discussions, and I was thinking what movie could I review this week, this Sunday, and eventually I decided on Looper. It's a film that at the moment it's on Netflix in the UK, so it's easy for me to watch, and I often watch this. It's a film that I often put on to fall asleep to, and I think that kind of describes the movie in a great way, to be honest, because the first half of the film is really engaging, fast-paced, or relatively fast-paced, and the second half of the film is the pace slows down a little bit, or it changes anyway. He gets to the farm and there's a change of pace. If you've watched the film a couple of times, you'll know what I mean by that. But this is definitely a good film. It's directed by Rian Johnson. You've probably heard of him from Star Wars: The Last Jedi, if you've been on the internet any time in the past year or so. It also stars Bruce Willis and Jason Gordon-Levitt. This is probably at the time the best movie that Bruce Willis has done in the past 10 years, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, that someone like Bruce Willis, such a great actor in the 80s and 90s, had wasted like a decade of their acting career just making like bad movies or hardly any movies at all. So it's good to see him in this movie, and he's probably one of the best bits, along with Jason Gordon-Levitt, obviously, and Emily Blunt as well. And the kid, he's pretty good. There are a few things in this movie that aren't that don't make too much sense, or well, they make sense, but it's like the whole TK thing. It's a bit random, and it's like just a big whole plot thing, really. But it's a good movie. The time travel aspect of it, I like how they did the time travel. It's simple, easy, it makes sense. There's also some bits in this movie. There's one bit in particular where hopefully you guys listening have watched this movie, but the bit where they get the guy comes back and he doesn't kill him, and then they capture the younger version of himself and they're like chopping off his fingers and his nose, and that bit gets me every time. That's kind of hard to watch, but that's what makes it a good film, because it doesn't hold back in places like that where it needs to be a little R-rated. And the story is pretty good as well. The overall story of it, the time travel aspect, and the fact that the older version of the main character, Bruce Willis, he's coming back to try to prevent something from happening in the future. I enjoy time travel stories, and it's actually just a coincidence that the Terminator, the first movie that I reviewed, is also a similar sort of thing, time travel story. And that's kind of funny that that's the first time that I've realised that these two movies have got that in common. But yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I'd say it's Rian Johnson's best movie. I'm not a fan of The Last Jedi, but this, I'm actually a big fan of it. Like I say, I prefer the first half of the movie to the second half of the movie, but overall it's definitely a good movie, and yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. I'm guessing you guys have probably watched it if you're listening to this, but let me know what you think down below. And like I say, this is going to be a weekly thing that I try to do, these Sunday movie reviews. So if you've any recommendations, and if I've seen it, I'll try to get around to giving it a review, but leave it down there anyway, because at the moment I'm not struggling for ideas on what I can review. There's always something to review. I can just go through my favourite movies, but kind of like the random aspect of someone giving me the ideas of what I could review. But anyway, if you're listening to this and you've made it this far, like and subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see me review. See you next time.